corner of the game. When you try with a sorry receiver like Crabtree, that's the result you're going to get. Don't you ever talk about me.
Who was talking about you?
Crabtree, don't you open your mouth about the best. Or I'm going to shut it for you real quick. LOB.
All right, and Joe, back over to you.
You are now on the inside of what I like to call the circle of trust.
We are all connected in the great circle of life.
You know something, Bert?
What?
I think you and I are going in circles.
It feels like we're going in circles.
The circle is now complete. When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master.
Because it's a circle.
Yeah, we heard about the circle.
Yes, we're familiar with shapes.
Hi, this is Greg.
This is Chuck.
And this is Dan, and this is Talking in Circles, brought to you by the Geekcast Radio Network, the sports talk show about pop culture. This is our second episode here, and we're getting things underway a little bit. This podcast, we have a lot of fun things planned, and our big focus is going to be on the Super Bowl. You may be thinking, geeks on the Super Bowl, that seems out of place, but even if you're not a football fan, I say stay tuned because you have to be a fan of food. We'll be talking about amazing food that you can eat and possibly some bets you want to throw, and also the movie trailers that will be debuting at the Super Bowl. But to kick things off, we'll be kicking things off like we always do. Just what we've been up to this past week. Greg, I know you've had a busy week, so I guess we'll start with you. So what have you been up to this past week?
Nothing much going out or doing any of that kind of stuff. I was kind of a shut-in, but I did check in with my handy-dandy Netflix. And I watched a movie directed by George Clooney. I believe it was his first director's seat movie. It was called Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. Netflix summary said, was he just a goofball game show host? Or was he really a deadly international spy? You be the judge. Had a pretty, really nice cast. Had George Clooney, had Sam Rockwell, Drew Barrymore, and Julia Roberts. I'm a big Sam Rockwell fan. I thought he was really good in Moon and Iron Man 2. I think he does a really good job, but there's a lot of Sam Rockwell ass in this movie. I'm just throwing that out there. If you don't want to see a lot of man ass, I wouldn't watch.
What was he in Iron Man 2?
He was Justin Hammer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that guy. Gotcha.
Yeah. You see a lot of his ass in this one, though, Chuck.
No, thanks.
But it was pretty good. I thought there was a lot of weird choices with the cinematography. There was a lot of weird filters being used for interviews with people that actually were part of the history of the man Chuck Barris, who the movie is essentially about. He wrote this book about his life, and he said he was a spy for the CIA and that he killed people. And so this is kind of a biodoc about him and his book and everything. And so they kind of talk about talk to Dick Clark, because Chuck Barris was a part of that program, and other people that were involved in the other programs that he was involved with, like the Dating Game, Newlywed Show, and the Gong Show. But it was a really good movie. It started off and you're seeing Sam Rockwell's ass and everything, and you kind of meet Drew Barrymore in there, and it's his kind of his girlfriend for the most part. But all I could think about when I saw Drew Barrymore on the screen was, how big is her chin? Because the angle that they take at her at the beginning, or it's just kind of her silhouette, that thing looks freaking massive.
Jay Leno F?
It was really sticking out pretty damn far.
Maybe E.T. did something to her that made her chin grow.
But some of the weird cinematography, but there was also some good scenes, like there was one where there's an alleyway murder, and I thought that looked really beautiful, but that kind of made a comeback partway through the movie. There was a lot of good special guests in there. There was you saw Brad Pitt, Maggie Gyllenhaal, and Matt Damon made an appearance. But Netflix says it's a comedy drama, but I think it skews more towards a drama. But there wasn't really that much comedy involved, I didn't really think. there were funny parts. I kind of smiled at some things, but I didn't think it was too funny. And I thought George Clooney did an all right job. He also makes a little reference to his aunt, who was an actress back in the day. There's a little, you could hear one of the pages at NBC walking by going, "Oh, and there's the show with Rosemary Clooney." And so there was a little reference to her. It was an interesting look into this man's life, whether it's actually real or not, because the CIA has stated that they didn't have Chuck Barris on the payroll as a spy, so who knows what actually happened. Yeah.
So who knows what Bob Barker was really up to?
He wasn't actually cutting off cat testicles or anything like that. He was cutting off human testicles.
Perhaps. Anyway, have you been watching anything else?
Yeah, there was a TV show called Oddities, San Francisco edition. I watched the original Oddities. I thought that was a little bit better. The show's not really for anybody that's kind of squeamish, because it's a show that's kind of a mix between Pawn Stars and American Pickers, where they have this store set up and they're selling all these weird, creepy things like organs in formaldehyde and bones and skeletons and anything that's really kind of creepy that you would see like a horror movie or a TV show. But it's always interesting to see who's going to come in the door next or what they're going to find, because the people that they have in there are just, the customers are just oddballs. I think the customers are a little bit more interesting in the original show, but you get a lot of interesting people. But if you're looking for a great source of unique knowledge, I would check it out.
How did you see that?
I forget what channel it's on, but it is on TV. I want to say History Channel, but I feel like that's wrong. But I found the characters, the original 3 characters in the original show, to be more interesting than the characters in this show. It's just the fact that the original has been on longer, and you kind of get more behind the people do in their day-to-day lives other than this store. And so far, besides the one girl, Wednesday Morning.
Really?
That's her actual name, by the way. Yes. And it's not like morning, like I just got up in the morning. It's morning like somebody has just died morning.
You can tell she's from San Francisco.
Well, she's, I think she's the most interesting character, and they kind of give a little bit more behind the scenes detail that she's a model. But I don't think she would be really a model that anybody would really know. She's cute, but she's a little bit different. But I think it would be an interesting place to go if you were actually in the area that the store is in. I think there'd be a lot of stuff interesting to see in there in real life. I also I kind of did a comparison between 2 shows. I finished watching 2nd season of Ultimate Spider-Man. I thought that's kind of a really good Marvel cartoon. A lot of people say that DC has a lot of better cartoons than Marvel, but this kind of shows that Marvel is making its way up there to combat DC. Ultimate Spider-Man is kind of like Teen Titans that DC had going on, but with Spider-Man. So they're a little behind there, but it's still an interesting show. And I also watched MTV's version of Spider-Man that they had back in the day. And so if you watch those 2 together at the same time, it's an interesting comparison, because the MTV version of Spider-Man is just kind of boring. The voice actors seem like they're all really, really bored and disinterested, which is weird, because the voice actor for Spider-Man is Neil Patrick Harris. And I've never really thought of Neil Patrick Harris as being a boring humdrum type of person, but everybody comes off humdrum in that. The stories are entertaining, but I'd rather watch Ultimate Spider-Man. And also, another fun fact behind that, the writer for that show, I believe, is Brian Michael Bendis.
Which one, Ultimate Spider-Man or the MTV one?
The MTV one, where I found it to be kind of boring. It's interesting that they were trying to go with the technology, that everything's kind of CGI,
I remember it looking horrible when I was watching it. It looked really cheap back in the day.
Yeah, I was going to ask which one do you think has the better art? Like
the better art, it's definitely the new one with Ultimate. It's the regular 2D cartoon work, but it's still much better than. But that show won an award or got nominated for an award for their animation. So, but I never really cared for it either. It looked kind of hokey. But it was interesting that they tried to go that way, but I don't think it worked. There was some glitches going on that you could catch every once in a while, but everything seemed kind of slow and boring with the way that it was animated like that.
I remember like when that aired, like the episodes aired in the wrong order or something like that.
Oh yeah, they were completely out of order. They're still out of order on Netflix, and they have a little preview for the next show, and it would be showing one that I've seen already. So
yeah. Oh man. So how does, I guess there's been a lot of Spider-Man shows. Would you consider it Ultimate Spider-Man?
I think it's the best one out there, quite honest. I like the 90s cartoon that was regular animation, but I just think this one's a lot more interesting, a lot more fun. It's not just Spider-Man, but it's Luke Cage, it's Nova, and I forget the girl's name on that show, White Tiger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's fun interaction between those characters, and like I said, it kind of goes the way of DC, where they have like the little animated, like they have the normal animated version, then they have these little smaller animated, more cartoony versions that kind of come in like Teen Titans had.
I've checked out a little bit of that. I haven't watched. What kind of piqued my interest when I saw Nova was in it, and I do like Nova as a character, especially when they kind of rebooted him after the Annihilation storyline. So be cool to check that out. And now that's on Netflix. That one, and I've heard Spectacular Spider-Man's a pretty good cartoon too.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
I think that was it. That's all I had going on.
Chuck, I know you said you didn't really have a chance to watch anything, but I think you had something you wanted to mention real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really watch much this week. I actually missed Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I know, shame on me.
How dare you?
I'm going to have to go back.
And everybody else that doesn't watch that.
Yeah, maybe I'm just joining the club. I don't know.
I stopped watching it.
I'll probably end up going back and watching it online or something,
That's what I'll do.
To go through the motions. But I did see Arrow again, and Arrow is freaking awesome. I continue to be amazed by that show every week. And I wouldn't be really giving anything away, because, I mean, right from the get-go, they introduce the character of Slade Wilson, which is Deathstroke from the comics, but they're kind of starting to show more of him, and you get a look at his costume, and it is just amazing. There's a lot of orange and blue, just like it was in the comic. I mean, they pretty much nailed it. I mean, he's got the eye patch, the gray hair on the side. It just looks really freaking cool. It was kind of a cool nerd moment, but I really enjoy that show every week. And then I guess other than that, I kind of just spend some time this week looking at the Marvel casting news. Seemed to be kind of a flurry of castings in the last week and a half. Did you guys read up on any of that at all?
Well, I saw the specifically the Ant-Man one with Michael Douglas.
Yeah, that one kind of surprised me.
Didn't really see anything.
The Michael Douglas one kind of surprised me. I knew that they were casting Paul Rudd and that he was probably going to be Scott Lang Ant-Man. I didn't expect them to go with a big actor like Michael Douglas, and honestly quite as old as him. But I guess it's kind of going to be like Hank Pym, like passing the torch or whatever. But obviously Scott Lang is going to see, the action in the present, so to speak. Maybe Hank Pym they'll show back in the 60s or 70s or however they're going to do it.
Yeah, I think that'd be kind of cool if they did some flashbacks to the 60s or so. It opens up a door to an entirely new world too. I mean, they could potentially do flashback, maybe not even movies, but television shows or something like that, of the old Avengers and bringing in some of those characters. And I think it's a good way to homage the original Hank Pym, the original Ant-Man. But I think Scott Lang does make more sense for today's world. I think he has more personality than Hank Pym. So it's but you also want to make sure that Hank Pym is there somehow. So I think it's a good middle ground. Michael Douglas in that role, I don't know. I mean, he's a great actor, I heard like he might be the villain type, kind of, because it's supposed to be like a caper movie. So I don't know.
Oh, well, yeah, that was surprising. The next one that was pretty cool was I guess I'm not real familiar with this guy either, but John Hamm from Mad Men is apparently going to be Doctor Strange, I guess. Have you ever watched that, Dan? Do you know anything about this guy? Or
Yeah, I've watched Mad Men. He's a really great actor, and he is really great comedic side as well. You don't always get to see that with Mad Men, but he actually started as a comedian. He's on the podcast Doug Loves Movies a good amount too, because he started in like the Largo world and whatnot. I know too some people are saying like Johnny Depp possibly in that role. But,
I know Greg was hoping for that one.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't.
But
I totally wasn't.
I thank God that rumor was false, because that would have been horrible.
Yeah.
Well, the way he's been playing things anymore, it's just this kind of really goofy, and I don't really think Doctor Strange is a goofy character. He's a little bit more straight-laced, if you ask me.
Yeah, definitely.
And placing John Hamm in that role, he seems a little bit young. I don't know how old Doctor Strange is per se, but
yeah. I know he was a surgeon, right? And then he kind of quit from that, so he's got to be, middle-aged at least.
I always thought John Hamm, if they ever did like a classic Superman style, like back in the day, like 50s style movie, that he'd be like a perfect Superman, because he has that like classic look to him. So I could see, but I don't know. I don't personally see him in that role, but I never really personally saw a lot of people in the roles that they were in, and it ended up working out okay. Like, I never thought Chris Evans would make a great Captain America, but he did, so.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you think they're going to put the awesome goatee on him?
One could hope.
Maybe the big giant cape.
Yeah, that's one question if they're going to keep with... I mean, at this point, with Guardians of the Galaxy and a talking tree and raccoon, I think you can pull off this Doctor Strange cape. So
I am Groot.
Yeah, suddenly Doctor Strange doesn't seem so strange.
No.
There's some other rumors. One of the DC rumors was they might be kind of courting The Rock to play a new Green Lantern, like maybe the Jon Stewart Green Lantern, and they're talking about it for the Superman Batman movie. I know it's probably purely speculation, but I really hope they're not taking this approach where they're just like throwing random people in this movie, because that's just going to ruin it for me before it gets started. I mean, I like The Rock and everything, but I don't want them to get too overwhelmed with this movie,
Yeah. Go ahead,
I think they're just throwing. I just think they're throwing in like every little rumor that they can have. They're just throwing out there to cause excitement and get people talking about it. At this point, I'm not sure half of these rumors are true at this point, with how many that they've had come out in recent days.
Yeah.
Even
maybe Ben Affleck's not even Batman.
Funny story, it actually isn't Batman versus Superman. It's really another Dark Knight movie. It's just a huge, gigantic cover-up. But yeah, anything else?
Yeah, just a couple other cool things for me. I did hear a confirmation that Kobe Smulders will be returning as Agent Maria Hill in Avengers Age of Ultron, so that's pretty cool.
She does smolder.
She didn't have a huge role in the first one, but I mean, it's a comic character, it links it from the comics. It's pretty cool.
And I thought she did a great job with that, actually.
Yeah. I mean, she was in the beginning part, that first, sequence. I mean, that was a cool sequence. And she also appeared...
Yeah, and she throws out great lines.
Yeah. And she also appeared in the first episode of S.H.I.E.L.D., Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
And she looks great in the costume, so I'm all in.
And then the other thing, I guess, was I did hear that... I'm not sure if this is confirmed. Maybe I missed that part, but from what I heard, Baron Wolfgang von Strucker will be in Avengers Age of Ultron. He's not a very well-known villain, I guess, but it's pretty cool if you're like a Captain America enthusiast or, anything like that. He's kind of the leader of Hydra, and it makes sense that they're gonna tie that in, maybe bring Hydra back. What do you guys think about that?
That's cool. I was kind of hoping they'd bring the Red Skull back in some way, but based upon some rumblings that, the guy who played it had some disparaging remarks to say, so that might not happen. But yeah, I like that character. My theory is that he's going to be a very small role. Like, he maybe be in the beginning and some mission, and we don't really deal with him after that. But
so you're thinking he's more of a minor character then? So probably wouldn't be like a big name casting then, right?
No, yeah, they already casted him, and I forget
they did.
The guy who they casted, but he's the guy who plays Nazis in every movie he's in. So it was a good fit.
Perfect fit.
Yeah, he's the hot.
I just hope it leads up to Zemo.
Yeah,
I think that's the more interesting Nazi character. Not as great as the Red Skull, but still, I thought he was an interesting character, especially with that little mini series that he had out not that long ago, which is probably about 5 years ago.
I actually own that. Yeah, it goes back in time through like his family history. It's pretty cool. For those that know, he's like Baron Zemo is like a classic Captain America villain from I think it's heyday, and he's been redone a few different ways. Most recently, was it 2006 or so? He became like the leader of the Thunderbolts and kind of almost like a reformed hero. But I don't know if they've done anything with him recently, but him and Captain America don't get along very well.
Well, no, he hasn't been in anything at all, and like since that miniseries, really. I think he's been in like one thing, but that was like a quick little snippet, and then he was back out again. So
yeah, and I just read something the other day that the current Baron Zemo is like the 13th Baron Zemo or something, because his lineage goes back to like the 1600s or whatever it is, or 1700s. I don't know.
Yeah, and that miniseries touches upon it. And I'll throw it in the show notes. I'll find it that if you're interested. If you don't know that character, it's a good introduction to him.
Yeah, definitely.
Alrighty.
That's about all I had.
Well, I only have a little bit. I haven't really watched TV or movies or anything, but I was reading something, and I got it for my birthday from a guy I work with, and I don't read a lot of DC, but he gave me this. He said it's a good like introduction into the New 52. It's the Joker, Death of the Family, and for those that don't know, the Death of the Family was this big Joker arc in all the different Batman titles, and what this does is it collects all of the like Joker mini stories that went on into one big book. It's like taking an action movie and just watching the action scenes in a way. It kind of works. Only thing is, as an outsider to DC, a lot of the characters I had to like look up on Wikipedia because I didn't really explain who they were. They don't use the Marvel method of, explaining, over-explaining, and introducing characters. But it was pretty good. Joker's very unhinged, more so than I think he's ever been. He does some crazy, wacky stuff like he always does, and I like the idea basically that he feels like the members of Wayne's family, like Robin and Red Robin and Golden Robin and Yellow Robin and whatever Robin and all those other characters are bad for him and making him weak. So he's trying to eliminate them and make him stronger, which is, I think it's a cool idea, and it works pretty well. So I don't think I got a complete grasp of it just through this one book. I probably would need to read some of the other stories along with it to completely understand everything that's going on. But it does get me interested in checking out more New 52 stuff. So, but the only other thing that happened, these are just random stories that happened in the last few days. I feel like this is an opportunity for me to just tell you how dumb I am sometimes, like when I have those brain farts. And in one instance, I thought you guys would kind of get a kick out of this. I was taking a shower, and I was going into the shower, and
sexy,
and
after a good game, no doubt.
Yeah, it was a great game.
Inside joke.
But I get in, and then I realize right as I turn the water on, I realized I have my phone in my hand. I didn't even it didn't even cross my mind. I was holding my phone, just like looking at it. Didn't even think of it. So I end up yelling, "What am I doing?" and jump out of the shower. And my wife's like, "What's going on in there?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "You're addicted." And I told her, she's like, "Of course, you're addicted to your phone. Of course you did that." I'm like, kind of have no excuse then. Like, I literally brought it in the shower, didn't even realize it. The other thing that happened, it happened the other day. We're having like Mother Nature is like kicking the crap out of us recently. It's like his vengeance is coming upon us with great wrath. And the other day, yesterday night, my car ran out of window washer fluid, so I stopped at the gas station, but they didn't have any while I was getting gas. But while I was there, someone walks up to me, and it's a random kid. He's like, "Hey, I hate to bother you, but can you lend me a few bucks? I just need to get on the bus." And then he prefaces it by saying, "I'm not homeless or anything, but I just need to borrow a few money." Like, which I thought was kind of interesting. It's like, you know what? I was going to give you money, but then I found out you were homeless. So didn't know I'm not going to give you. Like, why would you preface with that? Why would you say like, hey, like I need your cash, but I'm not homeless. Like, let's not get crazy here. It kind of threw me off. But what really happened was my window was covered in like salt, you know, like how it gets when it's, say it all salt on, and I need to wash it. And I, of course, did the stupid move where I, you know, those window washer stuff they have at the gas station. So I used that to clean it off. It was completely fine. I drive away, you know, get out of the gas station, get on the major highway in Baltimore. It's like a 4-lane major highway. And then it completely ices over on my windshield.
Oh, man.
And I can't.
That happens to me all the time.
I can't see anything. I'm going like 60 miles per hour. I'm like, I'm going to die. So I'm like, I could barely see a little bit. So I'm like, I have a little bit. So I had to like eventually like find a spot because the way the road is, there's nowhere way to really pull off. Finally got a spot, had to wipe it down, but it was just like, it was not a fun ride. I slowed down to like 20 miles per hour because I'm like, and people like passing me out, cursing. I'm like, did not plan this. But
yeah, that's scary.
But yeah, so it was an adventurous like day. So just that guy threw me off. I should have known better, but he just threw me off. So it was just a little odd. But
it's all his fault.
Exactly. I just found it weird. It's like, why would you preface with that? It's like, it's also like the guys who would come up to when I used to teach, and the parking lot was like in the middle of the city, and they would just come up and ask me for money. It's like, it's not for drugs. I just need. Of course, it's for drugs. You just preface by saying it's not for drugs. Like, at least be honest. If you were to come up to say, hey, can I borrow some money? I'm gonna buy drugs with it. I'd probably give it to you because I'm like, at least you're honest. But
the best is when they say it's not for drugs or alcohol, but they're holding a brown paper bag in the shape of a bottle of liquor.
But anyways, yeah. So that was my week. Anyway, hopefully I'll have some more stories of my own stupidity coming up in the upcoming episodes. But anything else before we take a break and then we get into good old Super Bowl
brought his
madness?
little blue box to a junkyard, and now Dr.
All right.
Who is a cultural
When we come back, we'll be talking all about the Super Bowl.
Join the
more so
GCRN Radio
focusing
Network
on our
and
favorite
Mark Who
foods, some
42's
crazy bets,
universe.
and the movie trailers
As we
that will be
review
debuting.
Doctor Who
So
episodes,
keep
past
tuned.
and
We'll be back
present.
in a bit.
Discuss the Doctor's friends and enemies. See where the Doctor's been, where he is, and where he's going. Sit back and grab a jelly baby and join Mark Who 42's Hooniverse. It's the ride of this and every other lifetime.
Fantastic.
Allons-y.
All right, and welcome back to Talking in Circles. Obviously, coming up on Sunday is the big game, you know, the Super Bowl, the unofficial national holiday of the United States, and the day that even if you don't like football, you'll end up pretty much watching football. And a lot of people, you know, watch it because of the commercials. A lot of people watch it because, hey, it's an opportunity to get together and eat some awesome food. And that's what we're going to be focusing on right now, is what we love to gorge on during the Super Bowl. And really, if anything, any day of the week, really, some of the stuff I would eat for breakfast if I could, and probably have, honestly, unfortunately. But so we're just going to count down our top 5, you know, snacks, food that we like to eat during games. Some of these are a little bit more involved, so I'll be posting some of the recipes on show notes at geekcastradio.com. So if you're interested, you want to try them out, go ahead and check them out there. So I think I'll kick things off here a little bit. Different idea here. And this is crackers that I don't know if I've ever made for you guys when you've come down, but we call them crackers. And what they are, they're simple. I know they're simple to make because I can make them. So if I can make these things, anybody can. A trained monkey or a really well-developed puppy can probably make some of these meals because I can do it. But what crackers are, they're literally saltines, and you just mix them with canola oil, ranch dressing, and red pepper flakes. And then you just mix them together, and then you throw them in an oven for about 10 minutes or so, and they taste delicious. They'll make you thirsty like no tomorrow, but they're just so addicting because if you like salty things, obviously. But they're pretty amazing. I eat them a lot, so I call them. I don't think there's an official name for it, but we call them crackers. Throw it over to Greg. What's your number 5?
I was going to go with chips and pretzels. I don't have a specific recipe, but I enjoy Middlesworth barbecue chips. They're the greatest barbecue chips out there, I believe. Love Doritos, and I also enjoy the hot wing pretzels by, I believe it's Snyder's Pretzels. Those things are addictive. If you can't get actual hot wings, it's the next best thing.
Chuck, how about you? What's your number 5?
I'd probably say pizza is my number 5. Usually like a local place around here, or I even like Domino's or Pizza Hut. I'm really not particular.
Papa John's, better pizza, better ingredients.
I would love Papa John's if there was one around here. We don't seem to have one anymore, but that makes me sad.
We get it a lot for work, so I don't think I can eat Papa John's anymore. So what's your favorite pizza? Do you have a preference?
Not really. I mean, I kind of like sausage on it. Pepperoni's good too, but we have a local place around here called Rosario's. They have really good pizza. They also have a really good vodka sauce pizza. That is spectacular. That's really good.
Nice.
But I'm a sucker for a good Domino's or Pizza Hut too. I really don't mind them.
Yeah. They work for me. We have a good place around here called Pizza Boli's, and it's good because they bake like the pepperoni into the cheese, so it tastes really good. But I love pepperoni. I'm a sucker for pepperoni, and also any type of buffalo chicken pizza or barbecue chicken pizza. That's a good time. All right, moving down to my number 4. Everything is better with bacon. That's just kind of the law. And my number 4 is bacon wrapped potatoes. And these are really easy. You literally just cook up some potatoes, mash them up a little bit. You wrap raw bacon around them, put them in the oven, let them simmer, let them cook, and then you're done. So just throw a toothpick in between so you can hold the bacon together. And they're just like little bite-sized, amazing little creations that I love because they're bacon and potatoes. So the major food groups, really.
That's a great combination.
Yes. And you get some good ranch sauce, and it's perfect. So, Greg, what's your number 4?
Well, Chuck took it at number 5, pizza. Like Chuck said, there's a lot of great pizza places around here. I like to go a little bit further out for it. There's a place in Old Forge.
They're not famous
for
discussion. They're not famous for pizza, are they?
Well, there's the big fight between New York and Chicago, and Old Forge likes to think that they have a piece in on that action of Old Forge style pizza.
Well, it's almost as big of a city. So.
Oh, yeah. I like to go to Ravello's. I used to go there when I was younger with my dad's parents, my grandfather and my grandmother, and so it's another place or thing that is kind of nostalgic for me. The only thing that kind of ruined that place for me is Hillary Clinton showed up, and so now there's a huge picture of Hillary Clinton on the wall staring at pizza. It's kind of creepy.
For those that don't know, like Old Forge style pizza, I guess, I don't know how you qualify it really, but it's square, and it's really heavily cheesy typically.
And it's like an American cheese. It's not like a mozzarella or anything. It's American cheese.
It's pretty good. I mean, you get the right places. I like Calarusso's as well. These are all restaurants no one knows, but if you ever hear of Old Forge style pizza, It's pretty good. I don't think it's good as New York style pizza, but
I enjoy it. I also enjoy that they have a double crusted white that's really good.
Nice. All right, Chuck, what is your number 4?
I think I'm going to have to go with some wings.
Nice.
Really, like, boneless or regular, I really don't care. As long as it is made of chicken and covered with wing sauce, you have my money. Really not particular, but, I mean, I do enjoy...
How about the ones at McDonald's?
Yeah, that might be an exception.
I'm not sure what that qualifies
That might not be made of chicken, so that doesn't meet my first criteria.
It's actually made out of Joe Flacco's mustache.
Yeah, and we have a place around here that you guys know very well that we used to go to, Zaleski's. I love their wings, but there's a lot of other good places around here too that are just as good. So
I don't know about just as good.
I'm really not picky when it comes with food. Like if it's in front of me, I love it.
If it's in front of me cooked, depending on what it is, or yeah,
I'm really not 500 pounds. I swear. Like don't get don't get that picture of me. But
alrighty, bringing it to number 3, sticking on the bacon bandwagon. This is one I've actually never made, but it sounded delicious, so I wanted to include it. And but it's bacon bourbon popcorn.
Bourbon,
and it looked delicious. What it sounds is bacon with a bourbon sauce put around popcorn or in popcorn. So It looks delicious. If you like any of those three together, I'm not a big popcorn fan, but I don't know. It's when it's like saucy like that, I think it could work. So yeah, my number 3 is bacon, bourbon, popcorn. Greg, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is meat in general. I'm a big fan of smoking meat. I got a smoker this past summer, and I don't have it out right now because it's kind of freaking cold as all hell out there. But during the summer, I like to barbecue. So if they had a place around here that I could get to some good barbecue, I would definitely be chowing down on some of that because I would just eat barbecue anytime. People in the South have it good, let me tell you.
See, when it came down to Maryland, I thought it would be, barbecue, but Maryland's not South enough. We have seafood. I mean, we love our crabs, crab cakes, and football. That's what Maryland does. But, meat's a good time.
Well, you also have that Chaps Pit Beef by that strip joint that was really
featured
good.
On Man vs. Food. They have the famous Raven, which is actually quite good.
It was also on Triple D with Guy.
Nice. All right, Chuck, how about on over to you? What is your number 3?
My number 3 is, and I'm cheating here because none of mine are homemade. Actually, one of mine is. I'll get to that later. But my number 3 is, they're called K-Papas from Pizza Hut.
Nice.
I don't know if you guys ever had these. They're basically like little tater tots, and they're filled with cheese and little pieces of jalapenos, and you dip them in ranch. Oh, it's freaking amazing. It is just awesome.
I'm glad I ate before this episode because I'd be starving right now.
I'm probably gonna go pick up a couple of orders of them for the Super Bowl. I mean, anything with potatoes, cheese, and then even if you throw jalapeno in there, it's just awesome.
Yeah. Jalapeno, bacon, and cheese, and then
bacon would make it better. Maybe I need to find a way to add bacon to that.
Nice. All right, we're already at number 2. My number 2 is an Old Faithful, and there's tons of different ways of making this, and that's taco dip. The way I do it, because I'm simple, is I just make taco meat, and then I get a dish, and I cover the bottom of the dish with cream cheese, put on top the taco meat, sprinkle a little bit of cheese, like a lot of mozzarella, or a lot of taco mixed cheese on top of it, put in the oven, allow the cheese to melt, come back out, throw some salsa on top of there, let it cool, and it's delicious. I know a lot of people put beans in and all that good stuff, but this is really, really easy to do, and like the combination of the taco meat, the cheese, the salsa, and especially the cream cheese just works deliciously. And then you get the special, you gotta love America because we have chips that are specifically made to dip things in, and so get those, and it's a good day. It's a good day.
I think any kind of taco stuff is pretty good for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, definitely.
Stuff goes well.
All right, Greg, what is your number 2?
Well, going off that little conversation, mine is Mexican food. So, a lot of repeats here, but I think Mexican food is definitely worth it. May look like baby poop in a diaper, but it is delicious.
It's the one type of food that looks the same coming in as it does going out, but it tastes delicious.
Exactly.
Nice.
Do you have a favorite type of Mexican dish?
Well, up north we don't get a lot of great Mexican food places, but in Wilkes-Barre there's a place called La Tolteca, and I like to get, and I always say this the wrong way. If you speak Spanish, let me know if I'm saying this wrong, but it's either cori or chori pollo, and it's just some seasoned chicken with chorizo, which is the best type of sausage ever. Some cheese over the top of that, and they give you some refried beans and some rice, and they give you tortillas to toss that all into, and it is nice. Amazing. You know what's funny about that restaurant? Every time we go, you say it a different way, and the waiter still corrects you. Yeah, that's very true. That's why I'm asking for help on the podcast here, because I. It's like, okay, I'll go back to saying it the other way, and he corrects you the opposite.
It's a little gamey, like.
I don't have a big ego to begin with, and it kind of kills me every time going there, because I meekly ask for my food. Just take a translator with you next time. Just be like, listen to her. I do know a girl from college that speaks Spanish. I should probably take her. I had to explain some of the college classes to her at one point, so maybe she could return the favor. There you go.
That's why you
cash it in.
That's what's good with like Denny's, because you can just point to the food and not have to say anything. That's what they need. It's just like that.
That's the only good thing about the food at
That's
Denny's.
what they do at Denny's because everyone is drunk when they go there.
Exactly.
So all they could do is point.
All right. Chuck, over to you. What is your number 2?
My number 2 is a hot wing chicken dip.
Nice.
That actually is homemade. I don't make it, but it's got some diced up chicken, some cream cheese, some celery, and some hot wing sauce. I put a little extra in my portion. And I love, I think it's kind of a lesser known brand, but it's like the Louisiana Supreme wing sauce or something like that, but it's really freaking good. It's one of them ones that's like the really bright orange color.
Yeah.
But I like it. I also like the Frank's Red Hot. That's pretty good stuff too. But this stuff is great. Like, and I don't even need a chip. Like, I'll literally just like grab a spoon and start eating it.
Like soup.
It's so good. Yeah, it's just like a harder soup. I mean, it's awesome.
What's pretty good along the same lines too is Wegmans. That's a grocery store that's around. It's most of the Northeast, but they sell this really great buffalo chicken like cheese spread, which is pretty delicious too. You can eat it cold or warm, but for those who are too lazy to make it themselves, that's pretty good.
Nice.
But
and that reminds me also. There's a place around here that it makes hot wing chicken, macaroni, and cheese.
Nice.
And that is a great combination. I mean, when I first heard it, I'm like, I gotta try that. That just sounds awesome. And it was.
There's this place called Alexander's in Baltimore that's famous for tater tots, and they do it a lot of different ways. And the last time I went, I had buffalo chicken flavored tater tots, which are delicious. They do it with like pulled pork on top of it too. Really good time.
Pulled pork.
All right.
I'm getting really excited with all this food.
Yeah. And my number 1, actually staying on the buffalo wing bandwagon. I mean, I could go. I mean, wings are like my favorite food ever. Like I love good wings.
This is also my number 1.
So we can do this together. I would say buffalo wings, but even
hold hands and do it together.
But not just buffalo wings, but I also really love stromboli. So my number 1 is buffalo wing stromboli. Not too difficult to make. Pretty much the same process as stromboli, but you're just doing it with buffalo wings or buffalo with chicken and buffalo sauce. So it's a good time. Get some ranch dressing or blue cheese.
There's a place I go to that has chicken wing stromboli, hot wing stromboli, and they have bacon in it. Coming back to the bacon, we've come full circle
so we just
yet again.
Up with some sort of dish that is Mexican food with buffalo sauce, chicken, and bacon, and we will rule the world.
And potatoes. Yeah, I also go to a place around here that has a hot wing stromboli. It's actually the Coloruso's closest to me. They make a really good one.
Yeah.
And it's huge too. Like,
I feel like all strombolis have to be at least like 5 feet long, even if it's like the small one.
Yeah.
So
it's a minimum.
So Greg, you said your number 1 was hot wings as well?
Yeah, it's an essential, and I don't think you could really get good hot wings if you go out of this area, really. You could go to Buffalo, or it's like essentially a Northeast thing, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
at least.
and Baltimore really don't have, I haven't really found a good buffalo wing place. Honestly, the best place I go to is probably Buffalo Wild Wings, which is quite sad.
Yeah, that's not good enough.
There's some good places here and there, but yeah, nothing like, I do think the further away you are from Buffalo, the worse the wings typically are. But PA has some good stuff.
Well, that's kind of like Italian food. If you get out of the Northeast, it keeps getting worse and worse.
And in Philly, anytime we go to some place and it says the name of Philly cheesesteak and you're not in Philly, it's not good. It's like Maryland crab cake. Unless you're in Maryland, don't call it Maryland crab cake. You're just lying to people.
Maryland crab cakes from Nebraska.
They have the best crabs. Chuck, what is your number 1?
Well, I have to put in a 1A because I do enjoy getting some hoagies from Subway and slicing them up in little pieces. That's a lot of fun. I like getting, a good Italian, a turkey, and maybe the deli trio or whatever it is they have. So that's kind of my 1A. But my true favorite, I would have to say, is Doritos. I've loved Doritos for my whole life. Like, you need to get the bag away from me because I'll probably eat the whole bag.
Cooler Ranch or nacho cheese?
I could go for either, but I think the nacho cheese is my favorite.
So how do you feel about the Taco Bell's Dorito hard shell tacos?
They're pretty good. I did try one. They're pretty good. It didn't burst into a big cloud of powder like the commercial.
I didn't think it was as flavorful as an actual Dorito.
No, not really. It's not as close, but I give an A for effort, combined Doritos and tacos.
Nice. So, yeah, those are our choose for snacks. If you have, we'd be curious what you guys like to eat, even if you don't necessarily for the Super Bowl, any type of get together, some game nights or anything like that certain snacks that you go to. Let us know in the comment section at the Geekcast Radio. But besides food, Super Bowls always has random facts and craziness going on. And Chuck, you had some crazy facts that you wanted to talk about regarding this year's Super Bowl.
Yeah, I did. And I don't know how many of you watched the championship games, or at least maybe have heard in the news about the Richard Sherman outburst on the sideline. But
You mean where Erin Andrews crapped her pants?
Yeah, she was a little frightened. And who wouldn't be? I mean, that actually leads into my first fact, and that is that Richard Sherman looks like the Predator.
See, I think he looks like the one guy from the Muppets that's in the band.
Yeah, I mean, with the dreads, it's just... And it's funny, like, I did see a picture on Facebook that someone did with the Predator head, but it had his dreads. And I was like, that's perfect. But into some of the more realistic facts. You probably know this is the first Super Bowl outdoors in a cold weather city. I know there was one in Detroit, but that's a dome, so that doesn't count. But so that
they've been really talking that up too. Like they are like seriously advertising that it's going to be outside in the snow. It's going to be cold.
Yeah, I mean that could really like affect the outcome of the game. So maybe that's the angles they're trying to play up.
Well, also they had a discussion of the one game Peyton was playing. It was out in the cold, and they said that it was a factor with him, and he didn't play as well as he usually does.
He does play in Denver now, so it's not like he's like going from Indianapolis to New York. But yeah, I hopefully got all the snow out this week, and it'll be nice weather next week.
And I heard on the news that they're giving out little like warm grab bags to all the people going in. It has like gloves and earmuffs and hand warmers and stuff like that in it. I thought that was kind of fun.
Nice.
Next fact is the Super Bowl commercial spots are selling for $4 million per 30 seconds.
Wow.
So that is craziness. Another price point, the cheap seats, the nosebleeds, are actually going for $2,500 a piece right now. So, you got two people, you're dropping $5,000 to sit way up in the nosebleeds, which...
If you could even get those tickets.
Right, yeah. I mean, personally, I would much rather sit on my couch, be comfortable, and get a much better view of it.
And to eat all the food I want for way cheaper.
Exactly. I have all of those wonderful 15 foods like right within arm's reach of me.
Yeah. And you're not going to be cold, and you don't have like horrible people to deal with near you. So yeah.
And you can access the bathroom easily.
That's a key one right there. Next one, this one's kind of funny. Wilson will ship 108 footballs to each team this week, and that'll be 216 friends for a lonely Tom Hanks.
Except Wilson's going to look like Hey Arnold.
Yeah. I just thought that's like a lot of footballs. Like, I just want one. I mean, they could just send me one.
They're going to carve them up and sell them on baseball or football cards.
Another thing is there will be 3,000 security guards and 700 policemen that'll be on duty, leaving the Sinister Six or Masters of Evil to run amok through New York City. Because, the Avengers are at the game.
Yes, exactly. Tony Stark has a skybox.
Yes, he does. And that's weird because that segues into my next fact. The indoor suites, or the skyboxes, are going for $1 million.
$1 million. You need to do it in the Dr. Evil voice.
Yes, $1 million. And so if you're a big company, you can either buy a box or you could buy 4 commercials. Yeah, that's just, these costs are just ridiculous. I cannot believe these. And I guess my last fact is something that you can look out for. There's never been an overtime in a Super Bowl, so I mean every year we look forward to that and wonder if it's going to happen. It never seems to happen.
Anything else?
No, that's about all I found.
Alrighty. Obviously, with the Super Bowl, a big portion of it is bets, making money, and it's not just who's going to win or lose, how many points are going to be scored. It's all these crazy prop bets. So we thought we'd just run through some of them, which are kind of funny. The one that kind of caught my eye to start with, when you think of it, you have one team from Colorado, and you have another team from Washington, the two states that have legalized marijuana in some in some form. So one of the prop bets is, will the announcers say the word marijuana during the game? This one has got a lot of traction during the championship game, but how many times will Peyton Manning say the word Omaha during the game? The over-under is 27.5. So if you want to bet the over, you're going to have to go 28. If you're going to under, 27 times. I just want to know who counts that.
Well, I know they're keeping track because apparently there's a charity now that gets like $800 for every time he says Omaha.
So I'm going to bet over then. Peyton's a nice guy. He wants a charity to get money, so.
And poor, the actual city, like Omaha, Nebraska, they're sitting there like, we're not seeing any of this.
Yeah, it's going to say it like 20 times in the first down and going to delay a game. It's like, it's okay. It's for a good cut.
Yeah, I'm going to bet the over on that. I would definitely take.
Yeah, I think the championship game, he did it 44 times. So, all right. Halftime show this year is the Red Hot Chili Peppers and Bruno Mars, which is a random combination, but one of the prop bets is, will any member of the Red Hot Chili Peppers be shirtless during the performance?
One of them's just going to be wearing a sock. That's how they used to do their concerts. So I'm assuming one of them's going to come out in just a sock.
Well, given the recent wardrobe malfunctions, I really wouldn't put it past them to kind of plan that.
Well, they were trying to book people that they could avoid that kind of situation with.
You don't have to worry when you Paul McCartney or the Rolling Stones that if they're going to have wardrobe malfunctions.
This is the first Super Bowl halftime show that I'll be actually looking forward to. I didn't care about any of the other halftime shows. I do enjoy the Red Hot Chili Peppers, though.
Another one, for those that saw the infamous No Sean Moreno clip of him crying during the national anthem, prop bet is, will No Sean Moreno cry during the singing of the national anthem? And that guy can cry like no tomorrow.
Dude, that water was flooding out of there.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
Yeah. It was like a superpower, honestly.
He flooded out the arena with that one.
We talked about Richard Sherman during previously, and one of the flap bets is, will Richard Sherman receive a taunting penalty during the game? And also, will Richard Sherman be interviewed on the field after the game by Erin Andrews on the live Fox broadcast? So
I think Erin Andrews is going to be too scared to interview him.
She's going to come with Schwarzenegger since she's a predator, or she'll be all in she'll be entirely covered in mud, so he can't see her.
Well, that's hot. I'm watching that.
Carl Weathers sneaks out.
Get to the chopper. I can't say it. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. All right. Another one is, will Michael Crabtree mention Richard Sherman during the Super Bowl on Twitter? And also, if the Broncos win, will Peyton Manning retire before Game 1 of 2014? And, of course, what company will have the very first commercial? My bet is on probably Miller Lite or any beer company. They're usually always number one. And then, of course, you have some of them like what will win, what will have heads or tails, what will the cone dice be, heads or tails, how long will the national anthem go on for, and what color Gatorade will be dumped on the head coach. Odds-on favorite, actually, is clear/water is the favorite, and the long shot is green. So we'll see. I mean, you want bet on green, and you might make some dough.
Go green.
I'm sure that you're going to have a lot of players who bet on green, and then make sure that all the Gatorade the green color. All right, so those are some of the crazy bets. Chuck, I know I've never personally really bet on the Super Bowl more so than fantasy football or anything like that. But how about you guys? Or you guys have any interesting stories regarding betting and all that great stuff?
I never really bet myself. I know my one uncle that comes over for the Super Bowl, he is nuts with that stuff. The one year he literally had papers all over our living room floor, and every play that happened, he's like, I think I got that. It was the coin toss. It was the first punt, the first interception, what the score was going to be at the end of the first quarter. The first company that did a Super Bowl. I mean, it was just everything. There was papers all over the floor, and it was hilarious.
It is pretty crazy when you think about it, just how much money is spent on the Super Bowl betting wise and whatnot. It is pretty nuts. But I guess the question then too is, we're going to try to pick who we think is going to win, what the score is going to be, and who we think the MVP is going to be. So I'll be mean, Greg, and I'll start with you. So who do you think is going to win? What's your score, and who's going to be MVP?
Let's start off with the guy that knows least about football. I'll give it to the Broncos because I'd like to see Peyton win. So I'll also take a chance that Peyton will be the MVP. Score wise, say it's close, 24-21. I guess I don't know. I've always been terrible guessing the scores though.
Chuck, on to you.
Well, I am going to take the Broncos as well. This is interesting. I mean, and I know I did hear today that a lot of the money in Vegas is coming in on Denver's side. So I think a lot of people like Denver for some reason, but it's interesting because this is the number one offense versus the number one defense. Something's got to give. It's kind of like Juggernaut versus the Blob. Like the irresistible force and the immovable object. See which one gives out first. I'm going to go with the Broncos. I'm thinking I'm going to say 30-23. And I'm looking for Peyton Manning to get the MVP. I think he just, finds a weakness in Seattle's secondary, maybe kind of humbles Richard Sherman a little bit. Maybe he'll be discouraged from doing any more of those sideline interviews.
Nice. Alrighty. I'll be a little bit different here, and I'll go with the Seahawks. Just because it is cold weather, I think that's going to play into them. They can run the ball really well. They have a strong D. And I think they're a little bit of the underdog here. So I'll go with Seahawks. I think the situation plays into them well. And I think the MVP is going to be Beast Mode himself, Marshawn Lynch. And he's going to go on and make millions of dollars with Skittles. And my score, I'm actually going to think it's going to be really low scoring. And I say Seahawks win 20-17. All right, so we got Greg with the Broncos, we got Chuck with the Broncos, and I got me with the Seahawks. So curious to see what you guys think, who you think is going to win, if you care at all. But hopefully it'll be a good game. That's all I hope for. There's no Patriots to root against, no evilness to root against. Or
I can honestly say I don't hate either of these teams. So
no. I agree with that.
All right, so regarding the Patriots, Greg, it seems fitting. You had a little bit of words that you wanted to pass on to, the Playboy himself, Tom Brady, and regarding his play on the field.
I feel kind of sleazy that you called him Playboy. Yes, I have a letter written out for Tom Brady, just like I did in the first episode with Brian Michael Bendis. I have a letter that I would like to send out to Tom Brady that he's probably never going to see, hear, or care about. But here we go. Salutations, Tom Brady. So I have found an article online, which will have a link on the website. It was about your appearance on Dan Hassel's show, and you discussed the fact that you're one of the least liked quarterbacks in the NFL. The article doesn't really say if this poll was taken within the league or was taken with fan votes. Dan Hassel's explanation of the poll was that it is jealousy. If we take this poll as something that was voted on by fans, I would take this view as a bit of ignorance. For if we are going to be jealous of you, then we should be jealous of any other player with the Super Bowl win, or with another player with a model wife, or another player with great skill at their position. No one would be watching football if all the fans were like this. I believe you could have some people like this out there, but they are going to be few and far between. If we take this as the players being polled, then yes, jealousy is going to play more of a factor. Football players are a competitive bunch. I don't think this is just a one-reason answer, though. So let me give you the reasons why I am not one of your biggest fans. First off, your attitude isn't great. This is the big one for me. If anything goes wrong in a game, you throw a big fit and walk off the field having a temper tantrum. It's like a 2-year-old. I get it if you do it every once in a while. Even the most calm and relaxed players will do it from time to time. Like I said, you players are a competitive bunch. You seem to do it all the time, though. How is this a good example for your fans? My next issue is that you cry after losing a game. I believe you've only done this once, but it still rubbed me the wrong way. Come on, you're supposed to be a professional. Plus, your wife defending you didn't help matters. I am sure you got a lot of shit from your teammates for that one, so I won't go any further. So frankly, I think you're kind of curmudgeon-y. You should be a happy man. Multiple Super Bowl wins. You're an outstanding player. You get paid millions of dollars for playing a game that you love. Your wife is amazingly hot. You should be a happy man. This is why I personally don't like you. You have all this amazing stuff going for you. Be happy. Wait a minute. maybe I am jealous. I'm jealous that you have all of that and you're not taking advantage of that. Sorry, Mr. Hossel. So, Tom, just be happy. Thanks, Greg.
Very nice, very nice. I guess you guys understand where we stand on Tom Brady. I'm being a Giants fan. I kind of feel sorry for him because we beat him so many times. It's got to get tough. And he's probably still currently waiting for that high five.
Those Mannings really take it to him, man.
There was a great a meme online of him like crying, I think during an interview. He's just like broken up. I'm not sure what for. And underneath it, all you hear is, it says, those Manning brothers ruin everything.
Yeah, I did see that one.
And one thing I did want to talk about, didn't mention, is the movie trailers that will actually be released during the Super Bowl. So there actually is some geek-related topics regarding the Super Bowl this year. And some new trailers are going to be debuting, most notably a new Amazing Spider-Man 2 trailer, and a new Expendables 3 trailer, Need for Speed, as well as the first trailer for Transformers 4 is going to be debuting on the Super Bowl. So an eye out for that, and it seems like there'll be 30-second spots, but shortly thereafter, there'll be full trailers released online. So cool thing to take a look at. I'm kind of curious to see what Transformers 4 looks like with no Shia LaBeouf and all that good stuff. So
I also heard that there's going to be a new Captain America trailer.
Oh yes, I believe so too. Yes, and a lot of geek related topics or geek related trailers are going to be debuting, either new ones or like extended ones.
Because as we all know, geeks watch football.
I think a lot too. I think there are a lot of geek angles to football regarding stats and all that good stuff. But I think what people really watch Super Bowl for is probably the commercials. Do you guys have any specific commercials that you remember or that stick out in your mind?
I know I have one. I think I always like the Clydesdales. Those are always really cool. I think it's for one of the beer companies, Budweiser, I guess. And those Clydesdales are just really cool, and they always seem to find a creative way to kind of incorporate them into it. But I think my favorite commercial in recent memory, it was one for Bud Light, and I remember there was two guys that went skydiving, and they were in this airplane. I think Dan remembers it. This really hit my funny bone when I saw this one, but the first guy jumps out, the second guy was a little apprehensive, and the trainer was kind of trying to get him to jump out the door, and so he's like, screw it, he grabs the 6-pack of Bud Light, and he's like, here, jump, and he like throws it out the door, and all of a sudden the pilot just jumps out of his seat and runs back and just runs right out the door. It was just so unexpected. That was my favorite Super Bowl commercial.
Yeah, it was very well timed. It was really good. For me, the one that I remember, I think it's for Coke, but it's not a comedic one, but it's one with, they do the Rainbow Connection song, and it just works really well. And there's also a really good one. I think it's Budweiser 2. They did it a few years ago. It was a more serious commercial because it was just like soldiers arriving at an airport, and then they're just walking through, and people just started unanimously clapping along as they're walking through, which I thought was just a nice little thing they did there. And then on the funny end, I'm a sucker for the E-Trade baby. I think he's hilarious because I'm a big Pete Holmes fan who does the voice. So any commercial with him during the Super Bowl, I find funny. So how about you, Greg?
The only one that I could, besides the infamous Budweiser one with the frogs, as I'm sitting here drinking a Yingling, I really liked a Volkswagen last year with Kid Darth Vader. I thought that was pretty funny and kind of hit my nerd sensibility pretty hard.
That was a good
one. Yeah, nice. Alrighty. That's been it for us for episode 2. Anything else from you guys before we bring this episode to a close?
I think Yingling should sponsor us. Just saying.
They seem to pop up a lot.
I'll make some calls. So that's all for us for this week. We'll be back next week with more fun and more randomness. But for now, this has been Dan.
This has been Chuck.
This has been Greg, or the Muppet that looks like Richard Sherman.
And we've been Talking in Circles. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next week.